Whispers behind her back, Ana de Armas had never felt so small. The room was full of laughter, polished shoes tapping across marble floors, designer gowns flowing like waves. It was the rehearsal dinner for their upcoming sci-fi blockbuster, a big-budget film with big names and even bigger egos. The cast had gathered in a luxury hotel suite to read lines, relax, and bond before the shoot began. But Ana wasn't bonding. She was folding her hands tightly in her lap, pretending to smile while her co-stars whispered behind champagne glasses. She had heard the jokes all week. Pretty face. Nothing else. One actor had muttered when he thought she wasn't listening. "She's here because the director likes accents," said another, smirking as the others laughed. Ana knew she wasn't perfect. She had worked hard for every role, every chance. English wasn't her first language, but she had spent years sharpening it. She studied scripts late into the night, practiced every scene again and again until her voice trembled from exhaustion. Still, none of that mattered in this room. Not to them. They saw her beauty before her brain. They saw her softness as weakness. Keanu, Reeves, seated across the room, noticed everything. He wasn't laughing. He wasn't sipping wine. His eyes were locked on Ana, not with pity, but something deeper. Understanding. He had seen this before, years ago, in his own early days when older actors had sneered at his calm voice, his quiet nature, his refusal to play their games. They said he was too zen, too stiff, too weird to be a star. He had proved them all wrong, but he hadn't forgotten the feeling. Ana stood to excuse herself, muttering something about needing fresh air. Her voice cracked mid-sentence. She didn't cry, but she didn't have to. Her eyes said everything. As she walked toward the balcony, the laughter behind her got louder. She didn't turn back, but Keanu did. He turned to the group and said nothing, just looked at them, one by one. His gaze was calm, but sharp, heavy. The laughter faded. "What?" one of the actors finally asked, still holding his glass. "We were just joking." Keanu didn't reply. Instead, he stood up and followed. Ana outside. The balcony was quiet, lit only by soft city lights far below. Ana leaned on the railing, her back tense. "You okay?" Keanu asked gently. She didn't answer right away. When she finally turned, her voice was low. "I'm just tired." He nodded. "I know the feeling." Ana looked at him, surprised. "Do you?" Keanu smiled a little. "I've been there. People underestimating you. Laughing when they think you're not good enough. It's familiar." Ana blinked. She had expected polite silence. Not this. "But you're you," she said softly. "Everyone respects you." "They didn't always," he replied. She didn't ask for details. He didn't offer any. But in that moment, a strange calm settled over her. Someone understood. Someone who mattered. Inside the room, the co-stars had returned to their drinks, pretending nothing happened. But word would spread that Keanu had walked out, that he stood with Ana without saying a single harsh word. It would reach every corner of that set. Ana didn't know it yet, but this quiet moment on a balcony was only the beginning. In the days to come, everything would change. The silence after kindness, the next morning on set, everything felt different, but no one admitted it. Ana arrived early, like always. She wore a calm face and carried her script with both hands, but her stomach twisted inside. She wasn't sure what she feared more whispers, or the strange silence that often followed when people were caught. Either way, she braced herself. She walked past the makeup chairs, the lighting rigs, and into the rehearsal space where the rest of the cast slowly gathered. As she entered, several heads turned, then quickly looked away. The same group that had laughed at her now avoided eye contact. No smiles, no greetings, just silence. But in that silence was discomfort. Ana sat alone again. But this time she didn't feel invisible. She felt like a storm was waiting, and it wasn't hers. Keanu entered 10 minutes later, quiet as ever, dressed in simple black and carrying a notebook. When he walked in, people greeted him more carefully than usual. The usual loud jokes were gone, replaced with nervous nods and fake smiles. Keanu didn't respond with fake politeness. He just gave a small nod to everyone, then walked straight toward Anna and sat beside her. He didn't say anything. He just opened his notebook, flipped to a marked page, and waited for rehearsal to begin, sitting right next to her. Anna couldn't help but glance at him. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "I know," he replied, "but I wanted to." His words were simple, yet they felt heavy, like armor. Throughout the day, he stayed near her, not in a way that called attention to itself, not like someone trying to protect or impress. It was more like he was present, a quiet anchor. When others fumbled lines and looked around for approval, Keanu stayed focused. When Anna delivered her scenes, he watched her with full attention, giving small nods of support after each take, and it began to shift something. People noticed. At first, the other actors were confused. They whispered about it during coffee breaks. Why is Keanu always hanging around her? Maybe they're friends, or something more. But soon, the tone changed, because Anna's performance began to shine. Under the pressure, instead of cracking, she became sharper, stronger. Her lines flowed with more emotion. Her eyes lit up in scenes. Her voice, once slightly shaky, now carried across the set with quiet power. And Keanu? He smiled after every take, even when no one else clapped. A senior actress, known for her cold charm, pulled Keanu aside one afternoon. "You're spending a lot of time with her," she said casually. Her tone dipped in judgment. Keanu looked at her with calm eyes. "Is that a problem?" "Not for me," the woman replied. "But the director might think." "He'll think I support good talent," Keanu interrupted gently but firmly. She blinked, thrown off by his calm confidence. "Look," he added, "if someone like her has the courage to show up every day and do her best while people mock her behind her back, then maybe it's not her who should be questioned." Then he walked away, leaving the woman speechless. By the end of the week, things had changed even more. Anna was no longer the one being whispered about. Instead, people started whispering about themselves, worried who might be next in Keanu's line of sight. But Anna wasn't thinking about any of that. She was just feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Seen, valued. Not because she was perfect. Not because someone defended her loudly, but because someone believed in her, quietly, and let the world see it without saying a word. Still, the real storm hadn't hit yet, because one day soon, Anna's breaking point would arrive, and what Keanu would do next would silence not just the room, but the entire studio. The scene that broke her. The studio lights were harsh that day. It was week 2 of filming, and tension had quietly crept into every corner of the set. Though no one openly said it, people walked on eggshells around Anna now. Her co-stars who once laughed too loud now spoke carefully. The director had grown colder too, not openly cruel, but sharp, impatient. Like he was looking for a reason to remind everyone who held the power. Anna felt it, every glance, every sigh when she missed a line, every forced smile. And today's scene was difficult. She had to cry on command, not fake tears, real gut-wrenching emotion, the kind of pain that bled through the screen. The pressure was immense. The set went quiet. Cameras rolled. The director, seated in his high chair, looked down at her with an unreadable face. Action. Anna tried. She dug deep. Thought about fear, loneliness, rejection. But nothing came. No tears, no shaking voice. Just a blank expression and a heavy heart. "Cut," the director snapped. Everyone froze. "Anna, are you even trying?" he asked sharply. Her throat tightened. "Yes, You look bored. This is supposed to be your emotional collapse. We're wasting time." She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Some of the crew looked away. A few actors exchanged quick glances. Keanu was watching. His jaw clenched. "We'll reset," the director said. "Get it right, Anna. This isn't amateur hour." Though, second take was worse. Anna's voice cracked early, and the emotion felt forced. When the director yelled "cut" again, his voice echoed like a whip across the room. "Get her a break," he muttered. "Maybe she'll cry better after she fails in private." Anna walked off set without looking at anyone. Her legs moved, on their own, carrying her to the back hallway near wardrobe, where she finally stopped and leaned against the wall. Tears came now. But they were real. Not for the scene, for herself. For the shame. The weight. The feeling of not being enough no matter how hard she tried. She covered her face with both hands, trying to breathe quietly. Footsteps approached. She thought it was a crew member, maybe makeup, maybe someone to bring her water and say, "It's okay, these things happen." But it was Keanu. He didn't say a word. He just stood beside her for a moment, close, but not too close. Finally, she spoke through the tears. "Maybe they're right. Maybe I don't belong here." Keanu looked at her gently. "You belong more than anyone." She shook her head. "He humiliated me in front of everyone." "Yes," he said quietly. "And they let him." Anna turned to him, confused. "You didn't," she whispered. He held her gaze. "Because you didn't deserve it." Anna exhaled slowly. "Do you want to know the truth?" Keanu asked softly. She nodded. "That scene? It's not about crying. It's about remembering a time you were broken, but didn't let them win." Anna looked at him, eyes wide. "How do I remember something like that without falling apart?" "You don't," he replied. "You let it break you for a moment, and then you stand back up, right in front of them." Anna was quiet. Then, slowly, she nodded. Keanu stepped back. "I'll be in the room when you're ready." A few minutes later, Anna returned to set. Her eyes were still wet, but her steps were steady. The crew noticed. The cast noticed. The director raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" he asked, without much care. "Roll camera," Anna said quietly. She walked into the scene again. The same lines, the same spotlight. But this time her voice didn't crack, it burned. Her pain was real, raw, beautiful. She didn't force the tears. They came on their own, slow, steady. Honest, the room went completely silent. When the final line dropped, the silence held for several seconds. "Cut," the director whispered. And then, applause. Not loud, not showy, but real, crew members, lighting techs, even a few co-stars. Keanu didn't clap, he just smiled, because he already knew what the rest of the room had just realized. Ana de Armas wasn't just the pretty new actress with a soft voice and a foreign accent. She was a storm, and no one, not even the director, would ever look at her the same again. The letter that changed everything, the scene went viral before the public even saw it. Word spread fast inside the studio. Whispers turned into excited chatter. Anna's powerful performance had left an impression, not just on set, but on the executives reviewing the raw footage. By the next morning, the director was unusually quiet. He barely spoke to Anna during their early call time. He gave instructions in clipped tones, avoiding eye contact. Anna noticed, and so did Keanu. For the first time, the power in the room had shifted. Anna was no longer the soft target. She had survived the storm and walked out stronger. But something else was coming. Something that would push everything further than she expected. 3 days later, Anna found a letter in her dressing room. Handwritten, no name on the envelope. She opened it, curious. The words inside were sharp, elegant, but heavy. I owe you an apology. When this production started, I didn't see you. I saw only what I expected to see. Another name on a poster. Another face to light. But I was wrong. I watched your scene 3 times last night. And I cried. You made me feel something I had forgotten. You reminded me what real acting looks like. I'm sorry I didn't respect that from the start. There was no signature. But she knew who wrote it. The director. Anna folded the letter slowly, her hands trembling. She sat in silence for several minutes, staring at the table in front of her. Then, without saying anything, she slipped the letter into her bag. Keanu noticed the change in her when she stepped onto set that day. Her spine was straighter. Her voice even more focused. Her energy unshakable. You look different, he said as they passed each other between scenes. I feel different, she replied softly. That day, Anna led the cast through the most complicated group scene yet. She hit every line, every emotional beat, and carried the weight of the moment like a seasoned star. Co-stars who once doubted her now followed her rhythm. Crew members gave her quiet nods of respect. Even the director called for fewer takes. But behind the scenes, things weren't entirely calm. A pair of producers were watching the dailies closely. They noticed something else. Something beyond Anna's performance. They noticed how often the camera found Keanu when Anna was speaking. How his gaze was always anchored on her. How the energy between them on screen, even in quiet, unscripted moments, lit up every scene they shared. The chemistry was undeniable, authentic. One of the producers leaned back during a private screening and whispered, "We may have stumbled onto something bigger than this movie." By the end of the week, a memo was quietly circulated among the executive team. It proposed a new angle, expanding Anna's role and shifting the emotional heart of the film closer to her character. It also hinted at something bold: testing footage with audiences to see how they responded to Anna and Keanu's scenes together. But the director resisted. "She's good," he said. "But she's not the lead. This film was written around someone else." He was right. The original script placed another actress at the center. But the footage told a different story. Anna wasn't just fitting into the film. She was lifting it. And Keanu? He wasn't just supporting her. He was framing her growth in a way that audiences could feel. The studio made a quiet decision. They wouldn't tell the cast yet, but they had begun rewriting the marketing plan. With Anna and Keanu on the poster, side by side, Anna knew nothing about this shift yet. All she knew was that for the first time in her career, people were listening. Not because she shouted, not because she demanded, but because she stayed true to herself, even when it hurt. And somewhere deep down, a small thought began to grow in her chest. Maybe I was never the outsider. Maybe I was always the center of the story. The confrontation no one expected. Anna didn't want the spotlight. Not like this. She had come to the project to work hard, prove herself, and disappear into the role. She never wanted to be the center of a studio debate. But now, she was. 2 weeks into filming, everything around her changed. Again. The makeup team spoke to her with more care. The costume designer pulled her aside to ask about comfort, style, and expression. Even the assistant director offered her a bottle of water between takes with a smile that hadn't existed before. Something had shifted behind the scenes. The whispers were gone. But in their place, a strange quiet had settled. People were watching her, not with ridicule, but curiosity, admiration, and jealousy. It came to a boil during a late shoot. The studio had arranged a night scene on an open rooftop. The city lights sparkled below, casting reflections in every direction. Anna and another actress, the original lead, stood side by side, preparing for a dramatic moment where their characters argued. Tension was written into the script. But what happened that night wasn't scripted. As the cameras rolled, the lead actress missed her line. Anna held the moment, waiting. The director didn't call cut. The other actress tried again. Another stumble. Anna gently repeated her last line, trying to help. Then, the actress snapped. Loud enough for everyone to hear. Maybe the problem is that I have to act next to someone who got here because of her face. The rooftop went silent. Anna froze. The words hit like a slap across her cheek. The crew looked at each other. No one moved. No one spoke. But Keanu, standing just off frame, stepped forward. His voice was calm. Clear. Steady. That's enough. The lead actress turned to him. What? You think I'm wrong? Keanu didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. I think, he said slowly, that real actors lift the people around them. They don't tear them down just because they feel insecure. The actress laughed bitterly. Insecure? I've been carrying this movie since day one. Keanu's eyes didn't blink. Not anymore. Gasps, subtle but audible. Even the director looked stunned. Anna wanted to disappear. She hated drama. She hated being the reason for it. But then Keanu turned to her and nodded just once. A silent message. Don't shrink. Anna straightened her shoulders. She looked at the lead actress and said, not with anger, but with truth, I came here to work, not to fight, and if you're not here for the same reason, maybe you're in the wrong film. The rooftop went quiet again. Then someone clapped. It was a sound operator near the edge. Then a lighting tech. Then 2 camera crew members. Then more. Within seconds, the entire set was applauding. Not a loud, dramatic cheer, but quiet, steady, full of respect. The lead actress stormed off. Anna stood still, stunned. The director finally stepped in. We'll take a break, he muttered, rubbing his forehead. Everyone reset in 30. Keanu stepped beside Anna. You okay? She nodded. I think so. He smiled. That was brave. I didn't mean to start anything, she whispered. You didn't, he said. You ended something. That night, the studio executives made another decision. They called an emergency meeting with the director and producers. The footage of the rooftop confrontation had already been leaked internally, and everyone agreed. Anna wasn't just rising, she had arrived. The marketing team began redesigning the promotional campaign. Trailers were re-edited. Posters were adjusted. Interviews were rescheduled. Ana de Armas would now be the main face of the film. And the title? It would reflect her character's journey. No one told Anna right away. They wanted to see what she would do next, not as a rising star, but as a leader. And they wouldn't have to wait long, because the final week of shooting would bring a moment that would define not just Anna's role in the film, but her place in Hollywood forever. The premiere that made her legend. The red carpet was long. Paparazzi lined both sides like wolves. Their cameras flashed non-stop, shouting names, calling for smiles, demanding attention. But Anna wasn't thinking about them. Her heart was pounding, not from fear, but from something deeper, something new, belonging. She stepped out of the black car, her gown sweeping the ground in soft waves of silver. People gasped, not just at her beauty, but at the quiet strength she carried now. The last few months had changed her. She hadn't just acted in a movie. She had survived something. No, she had grown through something. As she walked toward the crowd of fans and flashing lights, Keanu stepped out behind her. He gave a small nod to the photographers, then turned to her. You ready? He asked. More than ever, she replied. Inside the theater, the energy buzzed like electricity. This was no longer just a film premiere. It was a moment. Industry insiders, journalists, actors, and fans all sat together, waiting to see the final cut of a movie that had quietly become the most talked about project of the year. And when the lights went down, silence fell. The opening scene began. Anna appeared on screen within the first 2 minutes, and by the time she spoke her first line, the room leaned in. Her performance wasn't just powerful, it was unforgettable. The vulnerability, the strength. The way her character carried the emotional weight of every scene without ever begging for attention. And Keanu. He had crafted his own role to orbit hers perfectly. He wasn't the hero. He was the one who stood beside the hero and reminded everyone how powerful quiet support could be. By the end of the film, there wasn't a sound in the room. No whispers, no rustling, just breathless stillness. Then the credits rolled, and something rare happened. A standing ovation. Not the polite kind. A real one. People clapped until their hands hurt. Some wiped tears. A few even shouted her name. Anna stood in the center of the theater aisle, unsure what to do. Then Keanu took her hand. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. His gesture told the whole story. You earned this. Now take your place. The studio. Head approached her after the screening, eyes wide with disbelief. We've never seen a response like this, he said. We want to center the next film around your character. And we're thinking of a limited series after that. Anna was speechless. A few months ago, she was mocked, whispered about, doubted. Now, she was the future. When the press interviews started, they asked the usual questions. How did you prepare? What does this success mean to you? Did you expect this reaction? But then one reporter asked, do you have anything to say to those who didn't believe in you? Anna paused. Then she smiled, not bitter, not cold, just calm. I think, she said gently, we all go through moments where people don't see us clearly. And sometimes, that's the best gift, because it forces you to see yourself and decide who you really want to be. Keanu, standing nearby, gave the smallest nod. And later that night, when they stood together on a quiet balcony overlooking the glowing city, Anna whispered, thank you for standing up when I couldn't. Keanu replied, you didn't need me to stand up for you. I just stood still long enough for everyone else to notice who you are. She looked at him, her eyes soft. Well, she said with a small smile. They noticed. And together, in the quiet night, without flashing cameras or clapping crowds, they shared the one thing that meant more than fame or praise, mutual respect, and the unshakable bond of two people who helped each other rise.